All right, so I drove 5 hours to go see Twisted Pair, and it was 100% worth it. I would do it again tomorrow. The worst part was driving back because I was very tired. But regardless of getting home at 2 in the morning, I'm here now, Neil Breen reference, to talk about this movie. So the first thing I want to do is talk about it without spoilers, which is kind of hard because the whole movie is so non-linear that it's not on purpose non-linear, but it feels like a dream where things happen and you're not really sure in what order they're happening or what order they're supposed to be happening in. I have some notes here. So some of the things that were expected in the movie, one of the users on the Reddit post, PM band names, said that he expected Neil Breen to be in a relationship with a beautiful woman, that he's going to be the best at something, multiple uses of the same shot to extend runtime, actors not Neil Breen that you will pity, Neil Breen's nude butt, desert shots from around Las Vegas, unpermitted filming of Las Vegas, Neil being the savior mankind doesn't deserve. I added to this list with my own expectations. We'll not only see his butt, but just a little glimpse of his balls. There will be corruption of some sort of government officials or Wall Street bankers, etc. All these people that are in his movies that he just knows are corrupted and evil in real life. Hashtag eyes on Breen. That those officials slash bankers will die horrendously. They're always murdered for no reason. Neil will get magical powers, presumably from a rock. It's like 3 of his movies he gets powers from a rock. We'll see that cow skull or some other type of ghost. There's like this cow skull that's in at least 2, if not 3 of his movies. For some reason, I remember in Faithful Findings at the beginning, and it just like moves. It has nothing to do with the movies. One thing we forgot to add was stock footage. There is so much stock footage in this movie. Straight from the very first like 20 shots of the film are stock footage. One of the things that I believe is different about this movie in the credits, there's another editor. So it's not just Neil Breen doing everything. There's another person involved. And it looks like they said, hey, stock footage looks really good compared to stuff that is normally shot by us. So let's just get a bunch of that. And we'll green screen you into the stock footage and no one will be able to tell the difference. Obviously that's not true because I'm talking about it. You can see like faint lines of green around him. It's honestly not terrible good, like there's no like tearing or anything, but it's real obvious. There's his connection with nature too. I believe it's either in Pass Through or I Am Here Now where he does like the green screen with the tiger or the lion or whatever it is. In this one there's an eagle and he's like caressing it, but he's touching the log that the eagle's standing on, so he's rubbing this log the whole time and it looks like he's like trying to kiss this eagle. It's really creepy. What else do we have? A lot of the editing feels like it was happening on accident. So when we first went into the theater, and I assume most theaters that this is playing in are going to be like this. They're like an art crafty, like one room theater, kind of movie theater. So they start playing like their ads or whatever, but we could hear the sound, but there was no video. And I didn't think anything of it for like 15 minutes. And I remember going to the movies where this happened, and they started playing the movie, and there was no video, and we had to go, and they had to rewind the movie. So I went out and I told them. They were like, oh, and they were just playing it off like a laptop from the lobby, and they just like clicked a thing. They're like, it should be going now. And so there were some points in the movie where the movie it would just pause, and I thought that something was going wrong with the laptop again. But it was just part of the way he edited it. Like he would have people in stock footage moving, and then he would pause the stock footage and come into the scene. And like we couldn't see that people had frozen, and then he would always address everything that's in the stock footage. So for people who've seen the trailer, they kind of know the plot of the movie is he's got like a twin brother. That's about it. So he's got a twin brother. So they start the movie off with him talking about how him and his twin brother grew up, and they use stock footage of twins. So it's like 4K beautiful stock footage of two little boys eating a hot dog. And they're both blonde and blue-eyed. And I'm looking at this picture of Neil right now. He's got black hair and brown eyes. So not believable. So then they go up to them a little bit older, different kids. They've got like brown hair, and this is one of the things with the stock footage. He feels like he has to address everything in the stock footage to make it seem like, yeah, we did this. Like, so there's two boys playing with the dog, and he's like, me and my brother like to play, especially with our dog. It's like, you didn't have to mention the dog. Like, we could kind of pick up on that. And like, that's kind of a one-off thing. But then even later, it's like he has stock footage of just a street that he's green screened himself on. Instead of just filming a street, he's like green screened himself on a street, and he walks by, and there's like a lady in the street, and he's like, hey, how are you doing? Like, it's like this really weird thing, because the lady doesn't even talk in the stock footage, but he still feels like he has to address her. So the first 10 minutes is him putting himself in stock footage stuff, and it is fantastic. It is the best Neil Breen entertainment I've ever seen. And just for reference, if I were to rate all the Neil Breen movies going from least entertaining to most entertaining, it would probably be like Here I Am Now, Pass Through, Double Down, Fateful Findings, and then this. And I think that's all of them. Pass Through and Here I Am Now kind of are on the same level for me. Double Down's a bit better. Fateful Findings is clearly the best out of all of those, and then this just trumps them all. And it's like he keeps getting better camera stuff, and like, so in this movie he films the whole thing on a college campus. It's either college campus or the green screen, or his house. Those are the only locations, or someone's house. I don't know if it's his house. It's a really nice house, whoever house it is, which makes me believe that it might not be his house. And there's an abandoned building, and I think they might have actually found an abandoned building to film in. So he got like permission to film at this college, and he even thanks the college in the credits at the end. It's like, I don't even remember. I can't remember. But he only had permission to film at night, which is fairly obvious. And then I don't think they were allowed to turn any of the lights on in the college, because everything, all the lights are always turned off. So every shot is filmed by a window so that they could have some light. Like, instead of just bringing lights with them to create like some sort of ambiance, it was just like, just film by the window. So every shot almost in the inside of the college is filmed with like this strip of light that's like coming through the windows, like outside. And then everything outside actually doesn't look terrible, because there's a bunch of like lampposts and stuff. There's a lot of lighting. So, which is funny, because like a lot of really cheap films, when they want to shoot at night, they shoot day for night and it looks bad. Neil Breen actually had no other option than to shoot at night, and it didn't look terrible. So I want to talk about the plot, but I don't know how, because he's got a twin brother. So it starts out, we'll go over the what was expected. And from here, I'll just say spoilers, because I honestly don't know what I will spoil or not. I feel like if someone explained this movie in detail to me, I wouldn't understand. And if I saw the movie, I wouldn't understand. So I don't feel like the spoilers really ruin anything. So Neil in a relationship with a beautiful woman, we'll get to that. Neil being the best at something. So he's not the best at something, because he's not even technically a human in this one. Him and his brother were like cold at the beginning of their life by this special, the Force, which is Neil Breen in a creepy white mask, who gives them powers and like changes their DNA and stuff. Nothing specific is mentioned. One thing that was noticed was like every time he opened a door, there was a lens flare on the knob. Like he could unlock doors was part of his power. I think he's invincible. At the beginning of the movie, he can fly. He constantly flies. You'll see that in the trailer. He flies into this window, on a street building, like just like it looks like downtown, like Cleveland or something. Like, and then he just flies up into someone's window, and they're like U.S. soldiers going through in like stock footage. And then they're like going and this assault, and then they just like freeze, and Neil comes in and he's like, wait, no, let me go ahead because I can't be hurt. And so he does this like 3 times with different levels of soldiers, and then he always runs in front of them because he can't be hurt. We don't see him do anything. He just kind of runs off screen. Then the soldiers get unpaused and they follow him, and then there's a bunch of explosions, and I think all the soldiers died. So he's not the best, but he keeps talking about this. It's kind of like a James Bond film almost, is what he tried to make it like. Like he, instead of Q, it's some random woman whose name we never learn, and she's like his handler or something. She gives him missions, and he goes to her, and he just starts like taking guns out for no reason and like taking the clip out and everything and putting them on the table. And she's like, you did a good job on your mission. And no one can act, obviously. It's atrocious. And he's like, yes, I did a great job. Or something. Like, he's just some, like, super self-obsessed. And she says, like, you should take a break before your next mission. And he's like, no, I don't. And she's like, that's right. You're special. You're more special than everyone else, and you don't need a break. And it's like, I can't tell if she's supposed to be sarcastic or not. It's really, really just kind of creepy. So she gives him another mission, which this scene is also in the trailer, where she says, programmable virtual reality, and she hands him a glowing orb that's like floating, and he takes it from her. And props to Neil, the orb actually reflected light onto his shirt, so that was cool. And then they kind of cut to like this boardroom scene, I think, and there's like all these people, and it's funny. No one knows when they're supposed to speak, and it looks like they shot everything just in one go. And so someone speaks, and then it's kind of quiet, and they're like looking at like this one girl, like, it's your turn to go. And then she speaks, and then someone else speaks, and they all just say nonsense. Like someone says like programmable matter or programmable AI, like the programmable is the cyber and terror attacks, or they just say like random stuff, and then they're like the special forces are ready, our special army is ready, and it's like, what are you talking about? One guy's got a gas mask. There's a lot of gas masks in this film. There's absolutely no gas attacks, so I don't know why anyone's wearing this. One of the things I want to talk about is programmable virtual reality, because this is programmable virtual reality, Neil. I don't know if you're watching this, if you think it doesn't exist and it's dangerous. A lot of people, we have these in our house already. I don't know. Programmable AI, I think Neil thinks artificial intelligence is fake intelligence that you like put into someone else's head, because like artificial, like made up, like someone made a piece of intelligence, and is because he talks about using it to control people's minds. AI already exists, but what's weird is also at the end of the credits of the movie, there's like this thing that says like, to all the people developing artificial intelligence, thank you for your hard work and research, and like you gave me the idea for this film or something. Like absolutely insane. Like it doesn't make any sense. He also, so that stuff also never does anything in the movie ever. It's brought up, but they never, like, people will just say it. They'll just be like, programmable virtual reality, and then no one does anything. So they go from that. Then there's a hobo character. Good God. He's just sitting on the street. He's got two fake rats that are always next to him. And he's like feeding them crackers or something. And Neil Breen comes by and he's like shaking his can. And so Neil Breen throws some. No, he doesn't. Neil's like looking down or something, and there's a woman carrying papers, and they bump into each other, and she drops all his papers, and they immediately just start like screaming at each other. Because Neil, I don't think, has ever had an actual conversation with a human being before. So he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And she's like, just get out of my way. No. And he's like, let me take you out to dinner. So he knocks papers out of someone's hands and immediately is offering to take them out to dinner. She's like, no, I have a boyfriend. And he's like, let me buy you a drink. Meet me back here at 8 o'clock. Meet me back here at 8 o'clock. She's like, I have a boyfriend. I'm leaving. And he's like, hey, 8 o'clock right here. And so those are the lines, like verbatim. Like this is not even an exaggeration. He's just randomly, it's just like, meet me here at 8 o'clock. I'll take you out to dinner. And she's like, reasonably, no, you're weird. I have a boyfriend. So Neil Breen is a crazy person. We knew that. This woman is reasonable, which is strange for a Neil Breen film because the women are usually obsessed with Neil. So it was kind of a weird thing to see. And then he looks at the homeless man, and the homeless man was like, wow, she's hot. And Neil's like, man, I know. He goes, I bet she comes back here at 8 o'clock. So then he goes to throw coins into the homeless man's tin that he's holding out, and he misses some of the coins. So they have to like scramble and like pick him up. It's just like, redo the shot, Neil. No, he just missed the coins. And then the next scene is him coming back at 8 o'clock. And the homeless guy's like, man, she's not here. And he's like, yeah, I did say 8 o'clock. I don't think she's coming. Oh, and also, if you've seen Fateful Findings, there's like those weird shots of like, it's like a guy's feet and he like walks in a room and then he like teleports away or something. So we get a lot of that here where it's just like, so before the 8 o'clock comes back scene, like Neil throws coins, misses. Then you see like a guy's feet and he just like walks by the scene and he just like ignores the homeless man. No idea who this guy is. It's never really explained. Same as Fateful Findings. It's like, is it Neil? I don't know. So then Neil's like going towards the college or whatever, and he sees the woman, and he literally says, that's that woman from earlier. I'm gonna follow her home. He just says it like so flat, like, I'm gonna follow her home. Like, that's just a thing that I do. It's like, well, this is gonna be a good one, guys. Neil's lost it. He's lost it. So he goes into this woman's house. He uses his unlocking door ability, I guess. I don't know. He just walks in. He just walks in the house after her. And she's like cooking or something. And he's just creeping. And you see a shadow like pass over her. And then he goes past her to a different room. Then she comes in. I don't know. Like the logistics of like where he goes and where she goes doesn't make any sense. But he attacks her. He like grabs her. And this isn't like his evil twin brother in the movie. This is the main character. Literally just like grabs her and starts like just like choking her out on the couch. And he's like, you can't resist me now, you whore. And he's like attacking her for no reason. It's insane. And what's great about going to see one of these movies in theaters is everyone in the theater is seeing it for the same reason you are. So everyone is like screaming like, oh my God, what is he doing? And so there's a painting with like a glass frame and everything just lying on the couch, and she picks it up and slams it over his head, and they're like punching each other, and it's just insane. And then he just kind of starts laughing, and they're like, ah ha ha ha, and then they just start like kissing, and what was supposed to happen here, it's like the scene from a romantic comedy where they do their meet cute and then they go to dinner for the first time, and the man starts harassing the waiter like really intensely. He's like, you know what, I want to see the manager, blah blah blah, and they start yelling, and the girl's getting really uncomfortable, and then they're like, ha ha ha, we're just kidding, we did this to make you uncomfortable, we're best friends. So that's what happened. Neil and this girl were already dating. Everything else was faked for some reason. Like like it was for the homeless man at first to like freak him out, but he's not there, so it's just for the audience, and it doesn't make any sense. It's really confusing and strange because you think Neil is a crazy sex pervert, which he probably is, and he tries to attack this woman, so that was just weird. Everything else after that is kind of a blur. So there's this scene in Fateful Findings where he's looking in a mirror and then he walks away and then the guy's still standing in the mirror. They do that again in this movie. It's almost the same. It's the same mirror too from Fateful Findings. It's the same shot of him standing in front of the mirror, and then a reflection of his brother appears who has a beard. And it's really, oh my goodness, that's another thing. So he's got a fake beard and a fake mustache. And then he leaves and the brother stays. But then the brother breaks the mirror. And then Neil comes back and he's looking at the pieces. And he's just like looking at the mirror and he's just like slapping him on the ground and breaking him more. Just like throwing him down. Super weird. So Neil's brother comes into play. So they were both given superpowers or whatever. But Neil's brother kept failing these missions. And I believe their names are Cade, Neil Breen, and Kale, Evil Twin. So Kale kept failing these missions, so the entity that gave them their powers stripped them of his power and just like released him back into the world. Was like, screw your family. Like, they just like, because the thing took them away from like their parents and everything, and they're just like, okay. It's still like Neil keeps doing all his stuff for the good of mankind, and Neil's brother has just been like rotting away in an abandoned house, and he goes out and he kidnaps these three guys who turn out to be these Wall Street bankers who die horrendously. Whatever they are. One guy's like, you can't get away with this, I'm a lawyer. Oh, and that's the other thing is when the corrupt officials get together, they just start explicitly saying all of the things that they've done that make them corrupt. That's a Neil Breen staple. So they get together. Evil Neil has got them in this green screen room, and he's got them all beat up. There's fake blood everywhere and chains that are just wrapped around their necks. And they're like, one guy's like, you can't get away with this, I'm a lawyer. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. My wife made me coffee and I forgot about it. So they're like, you can't get away with this, I'm a lawyer. And then the other guys are like, just give it up. I knew one day all the stuff we've done will come back to bite us in the end. And they start like listing insane stuff. They're like embezzling millions from charities, the assassinations we had put out on other people, selling military secrets. It's like, how do you even get access to military secrets as a lawyer? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But what can you do? So that happens. He doesn't kill them. He just kind of leaves them there. He beats them in the head with the gun. He shoots them in like the arm. Like you've again in the trailer, you can see he does this thing where he shoots him in the foot, and it looks like the guy dies. He doesn't die. He just shoots him in the foot. He shoots each one of them in like a non-vital organ. There's no blood splattered. Like, you can't tell where they're supposed to have been shot because they all react strangely, and he's aiming in strange places. And I think this is because the way they have the green screen set up, he's standing next to them and he can't be like too far away from them or else it won't look good. You, the whole thing looks bad. Well, not necessarily. So then there's this scene where he takes his girlfriend out to dinner at the college. It's just the outside cafeteria. There's just a bunch of tables. And so, again, he has to address the fact that there's no one there. So, same as like the stock footage. Like, he can't just like leave it as is. Or like this scene, like he can't just like have one other person pretend to be a waiter for like 10 seconds. So he's like, I reserved the whole restaurant just for us, and it's just like a bunch of outside college cafeteria seatings. Like, it doesn't look good. And she's like, oh, wow. And he's like, yeah, the service here is supposed to be incredible. And she does this thing where, sorry, I thought I heard a phone. Neil does this thing in his movies where instead of having someone portray an emotion while someone else is talking, he'll put the camera on someone, make them talk, and then he'll put a camera on someone else and say, now show this emotion. And so he's talking about how great the service is supposed to be, and then it goes to her, and she's supposed to look around like, then where is the service? And so she's like, and he goes, yeah, I guess they're just invincible. He's supposed to say they're invincible. He says invincible really hard, and then he laughs. He makes this joke, and it feels so unnatural. Because I don't know, Neil Breen like laughing just feels weird. And then he's like, I bought you a gift, and it's a candle. And she's like, oh my God, I love candles. And then he tries to light it. And I don't think Neil Breen's ever lit a candle before because he just lights and then goes like straight down into it. And he can't light it because you're supposed to hold the candle sideways, going sideways because the fire goes up. So if you push it down, it doesn't. So he's pushing down. It takes him like 10 whole seconds to light. Just like, you ever just sat and counted for 10 seconds? And it's way too long of a time period to not have lit a candle in. So there's awkward stuff like that. He's got his mission though. He's got this mission. He's supposed to do something. I don't know. There ends up being this guy. His name is like Kuzk. And they spelled it at the credits. It was like COOCXZ or something. Like, it was like a really weird name. It's this guy who kind of looks like Moby. And when he talks, they have his voice distorted on like a super low frequency. So it's like this guy that looks like Moby or like Dean Pelton or something. And he's like, like whenever he speaks, it makes no sense. And he carries around a goblet full of fake gems. Just like, so it's like this guy who has a goblet of diamonds and he just like walks around with it and he just like pets diamonds. And he talks like this. It's like, I expect the procedure to take place by tomorrow evening. It's so way random. And he's like a secret undercover guy. So he goes in and he's like, show me your operation. And there's a girl who's wearing like, these are the most stripper heels. They're like, the shoes are like spiked all around and they're heels. She's wearing them. She's wearing a short skirt and she's wearing a tube top and like fairy wings. And so we don't see her at first in the scene. Then there's like a bunch of sparkles and she just appears. And then they sparkle again. And then they sparkle next to the guy. And then she appears over there. I don't know what this is. I don't know what her name is or what she's supposed to be. She looks like a Craigslist model that Neil hired. And then just to look at, like in the movie. And there's no development of this character at all. She eventually is in the home theater of this guy's house, and she's watching what I believe is Pass-Through. She's watching a Neil Breen film on the projector, and no, she's watching I Am Here Now, and it's the one where there's like a bunch of bodies at the end. I think that's the one where, yeah, I'm Here Now, because that's the one where he just kills everyone for some reason. And And then she just disappears. She like the sparkles show up, she disappears, but the shoes are there and they're full of the fake diamonds. So I don't know what that means. They don't explain it. And so Neil's like, show me your stuff or whatever, and the guy gives him a painting, which is just a frame. And then they take a movie clip stock footage of like a woman who's like all painted to look like a painting, and she moves like slightly and then like goes back and does that, and that's like his advanced technology that's supposed to like take over the world or something. And Neil's like, whoa, and like he almost drops it at one point. Like he's holding it and he almost drops it, and the girl goes to like catch it, but then he like catches it and she goes back, and they just leave it all in. It's like, I don't know why you did that. You could have just paused the footage because no one was moving. You've done that before. So that happens. So then the brother, Kale, has his own life. He's got a girlfriend. They go in. She's on the bed. There's like 30 bottles, like empty bottles of like wine everywhere. She's drinking out of one. And she's like, oh, she says something. He says something. And she's like, I hate you. And they start fighting. And Neil Breen punches this woman in the head. He like hits her like this. And they have like the stock like sound effect of like, psh, like he hits her. It's like, psh, psh. It's like, oh, it's like he hits her again and he knocks her off the bed. She kind of like rolls and just like slides off the bed. If you go see this movie, go for just that part where he hits this girl and she slides off the bed. It's so funny because he hits him like several times, but there's only 2 sound effects. Oh, that's another thing. So the sound effects. So if anyone has ever done video editing or any audio editing, you know you can do like layers, or even just like photo editing in Photoshop, you can do like layers of things. So you can have one thing happening on one layer, one thing happening on another. So like you can have one audio track here and one audio track up here, and like 2 people can be talking at the same time. Neil doesn't know about this. He legit just doesn't know, because he'll do explosion sound effects. So I'll have an explosion. Let's say, visual aids. Don't ask why these were with arm's reach. So like, let's say this is from here to here is the waveform of an explosion. Same, here to here is a waveform of an explosion. So if you were a normal editor, you would have this, and you'd have an explosion. If another explosion started here, you would just put this here, and it would start here. Neil doesn't know that he can do that. So it's like he has to stop this. He puts it like on top of the other one, like this. Okay? So it'll be like the beginning of an explosion, the middle of an explosion, that explosion stops, so the beginning of this one can start. So we never hear the end of the first explosion. And he'll have like 20 explosions happen, so it'll be like, you get what I mean? And there's a lot of explosions in this movie, guys. And every single time, it's like, he can't layer them so several explosions are happening. It's one at a time. And it's like, if this one started, the other one is done. You're done exploding. It's super weird. I've thrown myself completely off track. I don't know where I'm at. Oh, yes, he talks about, he went to the guy's house. He meets his brother every once in a while. He sees him, and he's just like, why are you like this? And he's like, I don't know. And then Neil keeps going, I miss what I never knew. Which I don't know what that means. So he says, I miss what I never knew, in reference to his brother, which is weird because he knows his brother. There's also this, because he fought. Kale fought. Oh, God, when he fights his girlfriend. So then he kidnaps the people or whatever, and somehow he's getting like more and more money from like selling drugs or something. And then there's a scene where they're sitting at this ratty table, and Kale's like, or his girlfriend's like, I'm content now. I'm more content than I've ever been. And he's just like, cool. And there's this really, really cute scene where they're sitting on the bed and they're splitting up the pills that they have, and he's like, 1 for you, 2 for me, 2 for you. It's just like random pills. I think they get into another fight in that scene because they fight twice, and it is fantastic. Anyway, I think that's everything that happens with them. She ends up breaking up with him or something for some reason. And Neil's evil twin keeps killing people. So he kidnaps the first 3 people, and then he says, don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to let you like rot and die. And then everyone else, then he does this like weird editing thing where it looks like the bodies keep piling up, but it's the same 3 people like copied and pasted. Like you can see them in the same position and everything. They're just like copy pasted in the background like a bunch. And then but he never kidnaps anyone else. He just kills everyone else because there's a cop who's like looking for him for only like 3 scenes, and he's just like, another vigilante kidnapping. Oh man. And then there's an Asian guy with like a fedora, and he's like, we ran his DNA against everything. And it's like, I think he has like this programmable DNA that it can't be traced or something. And that reminds me of one of my favorite points of this movie is the fake mustaches. There are, I think, 3 fake mustaches, and they are glorious. So, evil twin Kale has his own fake mustache and beard, which it looks like Neil sprung for the best fake mustache and beard he could find at the local magic shop for himself. Other characters, no need for a mustache, no need for a fake one. Yeah, like you could just not have one, and that wouldn't mean anything to me. Like, but the fact that they went out of their way to put fake mustaches on these people. And here's the thing: so the lighting is really bad. Everything's really bad. So you can see like the plastic like get lit up. And this isn't even a joke. It legitimately looks like he took a piece of like clear tape, put it across his face, and drew a mustache on it. And it doesn't. That's not even a joke. Like, it legitimately looks like they did that. If he were to come out and say that's what happened, I would believe it. Like, I honestly, it's easier for me to believe that than it is that he bought a fake mustache that looks like that, because it is that bad. And these other 2 characters have them for no reason. So anyway, this happens. I say this. Everything that's happened has happened at some point in the film. I don't know what the timeline is. There is a very random scene after Kale breaks up with his girlfriend where like all the lighting gets like black and like red, and there's this like creepy door in like this abyss, and it like opens, and there's a woman, and she's like, come on in, and it's like the scariest thing ever. And then it's just like some prostitute, and then it just ends. It was nothing to do with the movie. That reminded me of another scene. Oh, we're in Neil's house with his girlfriend, and you see like a shadowy like figure go by, and he's asleep, and he's literally, so this is him laying down, and he gets up, and he's like, who's there? Who's there? I know someone's there. Who is it? Who's there? Who? And then he just goes. He just collapses. Like, he is sitting straight up, and he looks around, and then he just goes, boop, and he just falls down. Like, all the way. And it's like, what? What just happened? And then we get these 3D models and like more stock footage where it's like someone's typing on a screen, and it's like a see-through screen, so the person's facing the camera and they're typing on a screen, and it says access granted, but access granted is like flipped so that the audience can read it. It's like if the person were looking at it, it would be backwards to them, which someone in the theater pointed out. And they were like, that's technically backwards. And so I think what happened was the stock footage had it right, and Neil thought, well, I can't read that, and he flipped it so that we could read access granted. And then there's this stock footage of like a 3D model of a wall with like a door cut out and a man like walking through it, and it's like 3D modeled, and it's not great. Like it looks like it was done in like 2006 for no reason. I don't know what it means. So then Neil's walking by the college, and his brother's girlfriend bumps into him, and they have kind of the same scene where it's like if two people bump into each other, they just start yelling, and she's like, hey, you want to party again? And he's like, what? No. And they bump into each other. She's like, hey, you shaved. And he starts like grabbing her and shaking her and going, I never had a beard. I never had a beard. And she's like, what's going on? What's going on? And she's like, Kale, when did you shave? And he's like, Kale's my twin. And she's like, what is happening? And they're just screaming at each other for no reason. And he goes, I'm sorry if Kale ever hurt you. And so they're hugging. And then Neil's girlfriend comes around the corner and sees them. And she's like, and then she goes away. That never plays into anything. They set that up like it's going to be some sort of drama. It just doesn't happen. Because, spoiler alert, Neil's girlfriend is working for the enemy, which I don't know what that means. She just sells drugs on the side. So I guess that's like the enemy for Neil. It's like anyone who sells drugs or is corrupt. And so, there's also like a random guy like who gives her the drugs. Then he comes around. I guess that guy works for the same industry as Neil. And if this doesn't make any sense, I'm sorry. This is just what happened. So this guy comes around the corner. Like Neil's walking. The guy's walking behind him. Neil rounds the corner. The guy gets to the corner. And Neil just like comes out and grabs him. And he's like, you're a traitor. You're a traitor. I hate you. And I have no idea what's happening. And he just leaves him on the steps. And then Neil goes into the college several times to like stop the main villain. And he goes to stop his mutant army, which has never been brought up. We don't see any mutant army. We do see some people that are sitting in these chairs that are like charging. The villain from before who looked like Bono. I guess, no, he looks more like Bono. I said he looks like a mix between Moby and Bono, mainly because he has these glasses. They look like those clear safety glasses, but they're like red all the way around. So he goes up to like the top of the college. This guy's there, but it's played by a different actor who's like 120 years old now. So I don't know why this guy's there. And then there's all these other people in the room, and Neil's like, I'm gonna stop you, and they all just like teleport and disappear. And another thing that Neil does a lot in his films, I won't say a lot. I've noticed it mainly in Fateful Findings, like when the mushroom disappears or whatever, he makes the effect take so long. Like it's like he could have someone just like teleport in like a second, but he like pauses like everything, has someone disappearing off the green screen for like 20 minutes, and then they appear somewhere else. So it's like all these people are teleporting for like 15 seconds, and Neil is like paused as he like going to run to them. It's like super awkward. So that happens. Eventually he blows up a bunch of stuff. I honestly, I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. So he finds out his girlfriend is working for them. The Q character of the whole thing, or I don't know, I never watched James Bond. Was it Q or M? Q, I don't know. The main girl of the agency is like, oh, you should take a break, and I don't know what Neil does. And then we're winding down to the end of the film here. He goes back into his house, and I don't know, his girlfriend pulls a gun on him. He pulls a gun on her. I think they shoot each other, but Neil's invincible, so she dies, and he's kind of sad. But then they go to like the purple screen from here, Twisted Pair. If you go to the website, or see the trailer, there's like this purple thing with all the trees or whatever. They go there. She appears. They say they love each other. She disappears. Neil hugs an eagle again, and then the movie ends. So overall, I would say 10 out of 10 would recommend. Most fun I had in a long time. Worth the 5-hour drive. I'm sorry this took so long to watch, but there's so much to say about it. I don't even understand what I just said either. So thanks for watching. One final spoiler alert, and this is actually a huge spoiler alert, so you can stop watching now, but for those of you who want to know all that you can about the Neil Breen movies, I will say this, and I mean, like, this is a huge spoiler alert, so literally just stop the video. This is going to have a sequel. At the end of the movie, it says, Cade Altair will return. So they showed the movie earlier. Within the movie, it's like, is Neil Breen creating his own cinematic universe? Who knows? I'm excited. I'm so happy I saw this. Again, thanks for watching. Peace out.